All right, I don't see anyone else in the waiting room. I think we can go ahead and kick it off. I know it's late in the East Coast. All right, so hi everyone. Welcome to the September 20th Town Hall with the Family SCN2A Foundation. My name is Morgan, and I'd like to officially introduce myself as the research coordinator. So I'm joining as part of the team to really help coordinate research efforts here at the foundation, and I'm excited to kick off this town hall. I'll let Melody and Jeff introduce themselves quick as well, and then we'll jump into it.
Sounds great. Hi, everyone. I'm Melody Kaiser. I'm the Director of Advocacy, which is a new role for me with the foundation, and I'm super excited to continue working on the projects I was already working on with Tasco and picking up some new advocacy projects to make sure that that we get SCN2A in front of all the right audiences and all the right resources to help the community. So grateful to be here. Thank you. And Jeff, can I pass it to you? Oops, and you're muted. Hold on.
Uh, Rookie mistake. Hi, everybody. Jeff, and just started this week as interim chief scientific officer at the foundation, and just want to say it's an absolute pleasure and privilege to be part of this organization, this role, and I really look forward to working with the team to help advance the mission of the organization. So, and I'm always open for questions or comments. If anybody ever has one, just please feel free to find my email through the website and just let me know.
Thrilled to have you.
Wonderful. And Jeff, feel free to pop that into the chat as well. I'm going to be using the chat during this presentation, as will Morgan, to share resources and links directly into the chat. And we'll also have QR codes that you can scan with your phone, or you can take screenshots and pull them up later. So hope that's helpful for everyone.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the town hall today. Today, we're going to really be discussing research participation and everything you can do with your family and children to get research ready.
Fantastic. And before we go too deep into this, I just wanted to take a moment. Hold on. We go. For an advocacy shout out. And you'll see I'm wearing the almost identical outfit that I was wearing when I went to the FDA to support the Barth syndrome community as they were petitioning the FDA for drug approval. And through unbelievably outstanding advocacy efforts, they were able to just get the FDA approval of the first treatment for their rare disease this week. And so shout out to the Barth community and shout out to grassroots advocacy efforts. I'm going to be following their incredible lead to make sure that SCN2A is always at the forefront of advocacy and making sure that we're heard. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our presentation. So Morgan.
Yeah, so the agenda, as we are kind of continuing on the effort of advocacy, we'll be discussing really what's most important for you to get research ready. And the first part is just staying informed of opportunities. Melody and I are going to go through the website that we currently have on the family's SCN2A website and go through a bunch of important links and things for you to access straight away. As people of this community, we've provided a ton of QR codes to help you kind of navigate. Second is bookmarking those research resources so you can add those straight into your own computer tab, whether you have an Apple or a Windows computer, super, super slick. Kind of from there, kind of after we tell you where everything is, we will talk about the importance of knowing your genetic variant and all the resources that the Family's SCN2A Foundation offers so you can get to know your genetic variant and kind of use that as you're deciding which research opportunities you'd like to get involved in. And segueing into what else is important in getting research ready is recording your baseline information. Then we will talk about identifying your priorities and the most bothersome symptoms for your child or your family member, collecting and organizing your medical records, whether they be electronic or however you like to keep them compiled and organized for yourselves. We'll talk about getting a CRID, which is a unique research ID, and then we will pilot and show you this great checklist that I've been developing that really helps you streamline and do all of the things we're going to be talking about tonight and have it all in one super easy streamlined document. So it's not finalized. I'll have Melody pass it to the next slide.
Great.
You can see here, so this is what I'm currently working on. This is a checklist for you, for the community, to essentially run down the list and mark off things that you complete as you do them. This is a working document. Nothing is finalized yet. So super happy for you to just know that this exists. You can scan this QR code here, which actually shows you in real time the edits that Melody and I are going to be making. But as of now, it's pretty simple. The first side of it, if it were to be like a flyer, is the tasks you can use yourself just to kind of follow and see, and then you can check off the box once you complete. And then the back side will have that same corresponding task, but then a QR code linked to the left of it. So you can just scan that with your cellular device and it will take you right to where you can actually complete that task. So this is the way we thought to just start an intro creating this type of material. Really open to feedback. We'll have time for questions at the end if there's an easier way that some of you might want to organize and compile your thoughts. But we really thought creating this resource is a really next step in all of these town halls we've been doing with clinical research. So this is exciting and on the way, and just really excited to roll it out to you soon. And again, we can talk about if there's any potential feedback at the end of this.
Sounds great. Thank you, Morgan. And just to level for everybody, if we're talking about scanning QR codes, if you've never done that, all you need to do is open up your phone, open up the camera app like you're taking a picture, and hold it close to the screen, and a little website should pop up that will a little link at the bottom. You click on it, and it should bring you directly to the website. And from there, you can bookmark it or forward the link to yourself. Throughout the course of this presentation and future presentations, we will have the QR codes highlighted in green, so you can always zoom in and find them on our presentations. And most of them will also have the corresponding link at the bottom. This one we didn't put because it's a very long Canva link, because we're giving you access to it live while we're editing it. The goal is that this document is exactly what the community wants and not just what Morgan and I think you want. And so as you're making edits, we're gonna be editing this live time. By the end of the meeting, it might look different. So please give us your feedback. Never hesitate to speak up. I won't always be able to see if you have your hand raised, so I'm going to count on other folks. If you see that somebody's got their hand raised, please interrupt and let me know. Or other folks, please feel free to just go off mic and ask me a question directly, so that that we catch it in live time. I'm afraid if we wait till the end, you might forget what you want to say. So please ask in real time, and we will adapt in real time. Morgan, do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, so to kick things off, to get research ready, the most important thing is to stay informed. So this QR code specifically allows you to sign up for our FamilieSCN2A contact list. So by doing this, you input in your name, some information. If you want to get text updates, your email, this just really allows us to get your information down and signs you up for the newsletter. So you will be briefed of all of the upcoming publications or communications, any news relevant to the community. This is how you would sign up to do so. It should be super slick. Again, like Melody was saying, you can pull out your phone, scan the QR code, put in a little blurbs of information, and then you will be added to our FamilieSCN2A contact list. We thought we would start with this because how can you know if you're not informed? And this is how you can get informed.
Exactly. And in addition to this helping you as an individual knowing about your research opportunities, it actually also helps the foundation and it helps the community by having a robust contact list. When pharmaceutical companies or grant distributors, other folks are asking about the community, we can say, hey, we're in touch with 1,000 people. We're in touch with, this number of folks who are interested in research opportunities. And I have filled out applications for grants, and I have seen that information requested by pharma partners. And so it really does help. The more people that we're in contact with, the more desirable the foundation is to receive some of those benefits. So really, really helpful on both departments. Okay. And so today we're going to be talking about, getting clinical trial ready or getting research ready. And this is a reminder from our last presentation. The slides that we're coming off of here are all on our new website under the research tab. So if you go to scn2a.org and you click on the research tab, or you go directly to the research section by clicking here or scanning this QR code, you can see the different categories. And today we're covering how to participate in research, and specifically, that would bring you to this page, how to get research ready. So we're going right to the beginning of things that you can do. And number one, actually, I'm going to pass this over to Morgan.
Number one, the most fun thing you can do is get to know your genetic variants. So within all those what are they called? The specific tabs in the website, the accordion style tabs. There's specifically a tab that provides information on how you as a family or caregiver member can understand your child's genetic variant. So it's really important to speak with your doctor and a genetic counselor about your SCN2A genetic changes, also called variants or mutations. There's a lot of different jargon that gets thrown around, but asking questions is really important for you to understand what exactly your child may have, or if you are unfamiliar with something or a term, there are resources out there for you. And we from the foundation encourage you just to keep speaking with your child's healthcare provider. You can learn about genetic terminology such as gain of function, loss of function, mixed function. These are terms that you probably have heard and are really familiar with. You can use the tools and links provided on our website, including educational videos and a glossary in the Family and Education and Support tab. All of this, again, is using this lovely QR code here. This is what we have available on the website, available 24/7. If you're a really early morning person or you don't got time till 2 a.m., this is open for you to start learning about your child's genetic variant. I'll pass it.
Great.
Yeah.
And this is super important for research because as you'll see on the gorgeous pipeline, which is basically a visual of all of the status of all the different research projects related to SCN2A treatments, you'll see phrases like gain of function or loss of function or mixed function. And so it's really important to know which ones are most relevant to you and your family by understanding the variants in your child or in your family member. Another place on the website that you can find information about this is on the genetics and physiology page. And we did notice when we were playing with this, we have to make a change. It looks like the web developer accidentally did the genetics of SCN2A. We will fix that, but I didn't want to mess with it tonight. So I see it, I will fix it or make sure that the right people fix it. But the QR code is still working. And so we can get to the right place and learn all about the genetics and physiology, even if we have the letters backwards. And then another great place to find more information about genetic variants is on our YouTube page. So there's both I put a link in here for the whole general YouTube page, but also specifically to the playlist created by a genetic counselor specifically to educate families on what the different variants mean. So once you learn what your child's actual variant is, then you can learn more about it from watching these videos. And then finally, there's on the caregiver resource page, there's additional information. So lots of places to find more information. And then, of course, you can always reach out to the foundation. Okay. So one of the next things that you can do is super important is to get yourself a clinical research ID, or also known as a CRID. There's a sign up here, again, all over the website. You can go to the search bar and type in CRID, you'll find it, lots of different places. But what a CRID is a unique identifier that's just for you and your family, and you create it and you own it. It's yours and you choose to share it with whoever you'd like in research. And what it can do is link up your file in multiple different research projects without you having to share your private information or without having to share or without having to make it complicated for the researchers to connect it. So for example, if you're part of the patient registry and the natural history study and the clinical picture maker, and then you sign up for another research project, all of your information from the different studies can be linked together. And so as drug developers and FDA are trying to understand the whole picture of what it's like to live with an SCN2A related disorder, you can merge and connect, and it makes it just so much easier for researchers and also for you to share. So that's one of the first steps, because as you sign up for a natural history study like Dragonfly, it's one of the things they're going to ask you to do. And so information's on there, and that's one of the top lists on the checklist. Another super important thing that you can do is to start recording baseline information. What is your child's functioning now? What does it look like? And we expect that children change just by the nature of them being children, right? A 4-year-old looks different than a 6-year-old, looks different than an 8-year-old. What does that look like as the child is growing, but also as their disorder is evolving? Are they stabilizing? Are they deteriorating? Are they changing in a positive way after an intervention? Or, what do they look like and how are they changing over time? And sometimes you're recording this information as part of a research study, but sometimes you're just recording it for yourself and it can later be used to help research. So different ways that you can record your baseline information. You can do it in a symptom diary or a journal. Maybe you're just keeping handwritten notes in a notebook, or your notes app. Maybe you actually have an app on your phone that tracks that. We'll talk about that in a moment. Maybe your child has some sort of tracker like a Fitbit or a seizure monitor or a visible band or other different trackers, even a glucose monitor if that was applicable. There's different trackers that come with apps and they're collecting data as well. And how do you merge that? Here's an example of EPSI, which is a seizure log for epilepsy. And so if you were to use this log, you can track how often your child is having a seizure or what triggers potentially happened right before, right after the seizure, right before, or even the day before the seizure. Is there some sort of association between, some environmental factor and the onset of seizures? You can even have medication reminders. So these are apps that are super helpful, but they can document information that's not only helpful for you and your child's clinical care, but also potentially for research and for understanding the natural history. Another app is something called Bearable, and this helps log symptoms and mood, and you can again track medication, and you can put in triggers. And so this is something that a lot of folks like. Kids really like this one too, because it's cute. It's got a cute little bear. And it can be super helpful in trying to determine trends or patterns. And again, helpful for you personally, for clinically, to share with your medical team, but also potentially helpful for research to show changes in how somebody's feeling or functioning. And then beyond that, the foundation has partnered with Clinical Picture Maker, which is this really amazing program, a platform that helps to collect and organize and share the video documentation of your SCN2A related disorder. And I'll show you, the link is here and you can scan the QR code. I'm actually going to pause for a second to make sure that you can go right here. This is also listed under our clinical trial, clinical opportunities, clinical trial and research opportunities page on the website. I'll just pause for one moment, but I'm going to show you an example. If you go to this website, there's actually videos. You can see exactly how it works, and there's tutorials. But one of the things I really love about this project is that if you look here, there are prompts. So under different categories, this one is under the category of daily living. Like, what's your daily life like? They show prompts. And so you can click on the prompt and then submit a little video evidence. So in this case, I'm guessing this is Sean's Harper. Show how Harper eats a typical meal. Show Harper's favorite daily activities. Show Harper's least favorite activities. Show how Harper exercises. And so with these little prompts, you can then take a little video and upload it and organize it, and then choose to share it with research, choose to share it with your doctors, choose to share it with grandparents or your teachers or therapists or babysitters. And so you're collecting information that, again, is helping you, but is also helping research. Any questions about Clinical Picture Maker, or has anybody in the group actually tried it and want to share a little bit about your experience? Pause for a moment.
Don't see any hands. But I guess I wanted to add, kind of paralleling off of the clinical trial basics that we did in the month of July. This clinical picture maker project is an example of participating in research. Like research itself doesn't just have to be interventional, where you have your family and your child enroll into a clinical trial. This clinical picture maker project is an additional example of research that is a non-interventional trial, and all of these trials and opportunities are still found within our website. So when we talk about getting research ready, it's for any type of research that is applicable to you and your family's goals. Of course, speaking with your doctor and healthcare provider. But this is a super unique one because, like as it says, it records videos of activities of daily living. And these can not only help you and your family with personal documentation, but also clinicians for future use, and even training of clinicians as they're trying to understand really phenotypically how SCN2A related disorders present themselves in kiddos.
Perfect. Thank you. And, with research, some research projects don't directly benefit you. You're participating to advance the cause. You're participating for the hope of something in the future, but it might not be a direct benefit to you. My favorite research projects are ones like this, where you are getting a direct benefit. You are benefiting from having this information to share and keep it organized and track your child's progress. That helps you and your child directly, but then it also helps research. So these are my favorite. I love encouraging participation in these. All right. And what I want, this is a teaser for some upcoming conversations that we're going to be having about plans for the SCN2A community to really deeply engage with the FDA and drug developers on top priorities. And so when you're thinking about what information to collect for baseline, I like to think about what's the end goal? When are we going to use this information? And potentially we would use these to help design a clinical trial. So some prompts that you might want to think about is, as you're recording in your log or your apps or your videos or your pictures, what does a day in your life look like? Maybe what you're recording is just a schedule. Maybe it's something that you would leave for a babysitter and you can just document that too. Like, you wake up at 5 a.m. to prep, an hour's worth of meds before the kids get up. Like that's part of your day in the life. You have to leave work early to drive somebody to physical therapy. You have to take a day off from work because your kid's sick again. What does your day look like on kind of an average day? What does your day look like on its worst day? What does your day look like, when the flu's going around? What does your life look like? And documenting that so that people really understand, they call it the burden of care. And I hate that word because it's not a burden to take care of our beautiful children, but that's the way that FDA and drug developers look at it, because if they think everything is peachy and wonderful, they're not going to really fight as hard to make changes. And so you have to kind of put aside the beautiful parts of parenting and say, like, let's present the worst. Let's tell them, like, what's the hardest day, and what's the average day. And so thinking about how you could communicate what's life like, how, for somebody who wouldn't otherwise understand. And then another thing that's really exciting is the FDA is starting to really acknowledge individual most burdensome symptoms, if you will. And again, or bothersome. I don't love those words necessarily, but that's the terminology that they're using. So thinking about, again, they might think about SCN2A related disorders and be thinking seizure counts or thinking communication or thinking sort of scientifically, but that may not be the thing that is most bothersome to you. Maybe extreme fatigue, or lack of communication or inability to self-feed or whatever is like really important to your family. And so thinking like, of course the goal is always like, let's find something that's a complete cure and fixes everything. But short of that, figuring that most potential drugs are going to come short of a complete cure, what's one thing that you would really hope to change? And I don't mean to force you to narrow it down to one thing, but at least one thing that you would like to change. And after you think about that, how would you be able to show evidence? Because drug developers are going to need to be able to measure it. It's not enough to just say, I really wish I felt better. Like, well, how would we know if you felt better? How do we know if this drug is working or this intervention is working? And so thinking about, like, how would you show evidence? So for example, this is not necessarily SCN2A related, but just thinking of some examples off the top of my head, like if your child does not have the energy or the wellness to go to school as often as you would like them to, you could use attendance logs that you're tracking for a whole school year and saying, okay, like this is how often my child has to be late to school because we can't get out the door because it takes forever, or how often my child has to leave school because they're not feeling well, or how often they're absent from school because of illness or risk or whatever. And then you can say, okay, now we've done this intervention, maybe vitamins or something, and like, oh, look, they're staying in school more often because they're not catching colds as often. Yay, we can show evidence that the intervention potentially influenced attendance. So that's just a random example. Anybody else, Morgan or Jeff or Amanda, anybody or anybody in the audience, would you like to think of another example of something that you would consider to be a bothersome symptom or something that's a challenge for your family that maybe you could measure in a way that you could show if something is working?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say making sure it's something that can be quantifiable is important. And obviously that is where the challenge comes in, because my brain immediately goes to caregiver sleep. And there are some devices out there that can actually start to measure it.
Yeah.
On certain days prior to your child starting an intervention, did you as the caregiver get more sleep XYZ compared to baseline before your child had started that intervention? I think this is a big one that's been talked about a lot. So that would be kind of my example. Caregiver sleep. How often is the caregiver sleeping prior to their child potentially trying something new versus during when their child is on something new versus after? I mean, you could quantify sleep, like I said, through there are some companies that are starting to create these wearable device things. I
Yeah.
don't know any specifically to SCN2A as of now, but it
Yeah.
is a possibility that that is out there. That's a way to quantify using EEG for the caregiver.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, even Morgan, as you're talking about, we're talking about caregivers, so we're not having to deal with pediatric issues. Just a regular Fitbit or a regular Apple Watch can measure,
Or
regular
a ring,
adult
yeah.
sleep, right? And it's funny that you mentioned this, Morgan, and I did not plan this, even though we prepped this meeting very well. We did not plan this conversation, but I'm thinking to myself, I have like about 5 years of sleep data on my Fitbit. I know exactly what my typical sleep score and sleep start time. I've got all kinds of raw data and
Relevant.
analysis data. And I can tell you that for the last 2 weeks where I've been babysitting my friend's 19-year-old Pomeranian, that my sleep has declined dramatically, right? And so with the intervention of insertion of negative of incontinent dementia dog over here, I am not getting enough sleep, and it is quantifiable. I can show you on my Fitbit how I'm not getting sleep starting on the first day he came, and when I give him back on Monday, I'm gonna sleep like a rock for 3 days, and we're gonna be able to quantify that, right? And so that's exactly what FDA is looking for, and that's an easy example because it's just a Fitbit that I'm already wearing, and I've got 5 years of baseline data, so it's crystal clear. Some things are harder, and as we said, like, it's really hard sometimes when there's natural changes that you would expect. I don't
Right.
expect a 4-year-old to look like a 6-year-old, to look like a 10-year-old, regardless of developmental changes, but we can still measure growth, and we can measure change, and we can measure improvement, hopefully. But we can also measure decline, and so we can help gather that information that's helpful both for our individual families, but also for research. So that's where I'm going with that. In addition to collecting that baseline data, it's also a great idea to collect your medical records. And that's something for you personally, like having a binder printed out of your medical records, sometimes like a little condensed version if you're traveling, or having the full copy. I have a file cabinet worth of medical documents for my kids over the years. Just having those records for yourself. You can have them on electronic form, you can print them out, but then you can also share some of those for research. So we're going to talk about a couple of opportunities where sharing those records can really help the cause as well. So the first one is a project through Citizen Health. And that is basically considered to be what you'd call like a retrospective natural history study. So you upload the medical records, and they are able to extract information that helps understand what your child's life looked like from the beginning. Like, what were the first symptoms? How were they treated? How did they respond to various medications? And that's called a retrospective natural history study. In addition, there's Simon Searchlight, which can also you can enroll and share your records with, and they're doing more of a prospective natural history study, where they're asking information moving forward, but they also look backwards as well. So those records can be so helpful as the doctors and researchers are really trying to get a sense of what does SCN2A look like clinically? And then all that baseline information that you're collecting is more like, what does it look like in your daily living? We're trying to get the whole picture. And then, as you said, we know that there's a lot of different opportunities, and sometimes, you'll see in the newsletter, like, don't forget to sign up for Dragonfly, the natural history study, and you're like, wait, I already did that. And you're like, no, you signed up for the other thing, and so having this checklist to make sure that you're signing up for all of the opportunities, and that you're getting yourself as research ready as possible so that you can be ready and available for any opportunity that comes up, which we will post on the website and share in the newsletter. And so I'm going to turn this over to Morgan because this is her brainchild, and she's doing a spectacular job getting this ready. So Morgan, do you want to solicit some feedback and get this going?
Yeah. I've got like a more up to date as I kind of was making some changes
Oh, I bet you,
live.
yeah, I bet you did live time. Do you want to go we can stop sharing for a second. We can go.
Sure, I'll just share this with the community, and we can
Yeah.
kind of go through kind of down the line and to see if this is really relevant or not. You can just give me thumbs up or whatever is easiest for you as you're listening here on the Zoom. I'm just gonna
And
zoom in.
community, please feel free to share anything, like even like,
Yeah.
you know, we use the colors of the logo, but if those colors aren't easy for you to see, or, you know, the contrast isn't right, like that's something we can change. Or, you know, if it's too many words or not enough words, you
Yeah,
need the
can
font
everyone
bigger.
see this all right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
make it a little bit bigger if you can, like zoom in a little.
I think I can. Test
It'll let you.
check on the fly. There
There you
we
go.
go.
Yeah, perfect, perfect, gorgeous. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so essentially paralleling the discussion we just had, it follows exactly what we talked about. The first thing you could check off is subscribing to the FamilieSCN2A email list. That is that contact list that I'd introed in the beginning. This would be step one, to just make sure your information is there, to know that you're a part of this community and that you will receive emails of the newsletter coming out. Next would be to join the Global Family Network on Facebook. This is the private Facebook group that we have. I think most of you might be in there. I recognize a couple names because we also post town hall updates in there. But this is another thing just to make sure you're connected with the community and staying up to date on any information that's getting posted. And then you will also be put in touch with other families and caregivers, and you can look at all of their posts and answer questions and really keep on developing this awesome community that we have. Next would be just to explore the FamilieSCN2A website. This is the one-stop shop for everything related to research, as Melody pointed out, with all those accordion tabs. Here you can learn about, like we said, how to participate in research, finding key publications, watching educational videos about SCN2A related disorders, getting information on patient-centric drug development. If you're really interested in the regulatory work that the FDA is going down, go to the website and just have fun, play around. Also, we are always open for feedback on the website too, if it is not user-friendly enough or if something is missing, or if you're really like, again, trying to find the Dragonfly registry link because maybe that is one thing you thought you did, but maybe didn't actually have time for. If that is way hard to find, open to feedback on how to make that easier. Coming down as fourth in priority would be creating that CRID. So this is your unique clinical research ID that Melody explained is really unique to you and your family. It is something that you create and that you provide to these natural history studies or various other research opportunities so that they can identify your patient or your child with this unique ID and then conglomerate all the research together in one place. So you actually have to create a CRID before you can participate in the Simon Searchlight or the Citizens, like we had explained as various opportunities for natural history studies. And then next would be fifth, really learning about your child or family member's genetic variant. As Melody had mentioned, we have this awesome pipeline of upcoming interventional clinical trials, and we have organized it based off of your child's variant. So if you know they have mixed function or loss of function or gain of function, or if seizures, if you would really like to improve seizures in your child, here's where you can go to learn about various research opportunities that are targeting those symptomologies. So just learning about your child's genetic variant and making sure to always ask questions to your child's clinician, genetic counselor, or healthcare provider, because they will be the person that can give you the most accurate information. I'm gonna figure out how to scroll down here. That is fifth on the list. And then we have now getting into some opportunities specific to SCN2A that relate to compiling your data, baseline data, your medical records, everything really pertinent to the community itself. All of these are examples of non-interventional studies that are available to anyone within the SCN2A related disorders community. Joining the global SCN2A Dragonfly Patient Registry. This is our tried and true patient registry. You've probably heard tons about it. It is like the first thing on the website. So please, if you cannot find it under the research opportunities, please let us know. Next is Clinical Picture Maker, another study you can sign up to join. You could check off. This is the video tracking study that Melody had mentioned, the project that actually went into recording videos of your child's activities of daily living. There's various other things in there that then you can customize. Again, you do need a CRID ID to participate in the Dragonfly registry. Next in relevance is recording baseline information. So you can kind of see all this kind of comes together, but we try to really organize it in tiers so that it kind of makes sense for you as a family member kind of going down the line, which makes the most sense to do when, recording baseline information, all that kind of falls within here. Then joining Simon's, this is a way where you can then input your information like your records right into this retrospective natural history study, gathering and organizing medical records. Again, all these kind of come into play. If you organize your medical records, then you can join the community FamilieSCN2A community on Citizen, another natural history study that allows you to make record of your child's information and use their medical records to gain information on the future prognosis of the disorder. All of these, again, you need a CRID to be able to sign up and participate with your family. And then at the end, kind of going through our main natural history studies that are available to the community, we have just resources on educating yourself about SCN2A, and we have a whole YouTube page that has all of our town hall recordings, previous Hope RX series, previous series discussing clinical research data. Our YouTube really is a one-stop shop. If you want to learn more about something, it's got really good playlists that differentiate different categories. And then on the bottom, register for our town hall meetings. Like we said, Melody's got a bunch of fun stuff, good content planned for the rest of year and into 2026, really on how the SCN2A community is going to start to interact with the FDA. And we got more coming on research as well. But this is essentially the structure of it thus far. And then what I'm going to do is include a QR code right here that corresponds to each of those tasks. So what we could do is download this as a PDF so that you and your family could print it off, but kind of double-sided if you wanted to be able to just go and actually physically write if you are someone who likes to check off or X off things yourself and then just have the QR code there. We could make this as just a link and just post it on the website. Really open to what is going to be the most easiest for you in the community and open to other things on here that you might feel you need or that I missed or aren't as relevant. But this is kind of the idea of creating a research checklist for you all.
Amazing. Thank you, Morgan. Let's take a moment to open it up to the community and see if there's any feedback or ideas about how this looks. Is this
Sparkly
something
heart, yay.
Yeah. I
Thank you,
love
Carla.
hearts. Thank you. Is this helpful? Is this just one more thing that you have to remember? Is this something that you would appreciate having, or is this? And would you appreciate it in the form that it currently is, or how would you recommend that we fix it?
Yeah, feel free to chat or if you want to speak up.
Yeah, you can feel free to, exactly. Drop it in the chat if you don't feel like you want to.
Very helpful.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yay.
Awesome.
Thanks, Carla. Yeah.
Well, I can say that this is extremely helpful because it might have been about 6 months ago that I personally sat down with a researcher to go over a study for my son, and we got about 5 minutes in, and then I said, I think we've done this before. And then she looked
Yeah.
over her data again and she said, yep, we have.
Oh my gosh.
And then I just, I had done
Yeah.
it. And because there are so many opportunities,
Yeah.
but I just signed up and she didn't even question me because I should know, right?
Carla, that happened to you too. Oh my goodness. Okay,
Oh.
this really so with that opportunity, I'm thinking about that. Like, would it be helpful to have something maybe on the back that has like maybe some of the other studies that are out there, maybe some of the interventional studies or some of the other something, and where you can literally check off that you've participated in those as well? Or was this was it maybe one of the ones that's already listed?
It was probably one that was already listed,
Okay.
but maybe on a checklist, if there was a PDF, we could have another section that it's like, oh, Amanda's already done this. Check.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Or I've done the 6-month. Check.
Perfect. Oh,
And then
that's
I could keep it for myself.
Yeah. Quantifying the registry check-ins too. Maybe that could be helpful.
That's
Yeah,
a really
especially
great
for
idea.
Dragonfly, 6 month, I
Yeah.
think, on this date,
That's a great idea. We can work
Yeah.
with Brad too to make sure that we have this full schedule of participation. That's a great idea. Um,
Mhm.
I'm also thinking, like,
Yeah.
would it be helpful on this form to have a place where you could write your CRID, like write the number down or write down, your login information for a website? Would that be a helpful thing to add to this?
Yeah, I think so. All of those pieces of information. I think as a parent, that we all have kids that are special needs and medically complex. Our minds are full. And I
Yes.
know me myself, I keep a lot of things obviously on paper, but I keep a lot of things in my head too. So
Yeah.
anything that helps take the burden off.
Great.
Amazing. And so Morgan, that's something we could
Love
check.
it.
So we're like, okay, Amanda, check your sleep when you have all that stuff stuck in your head. And then we'll do this intervention and get it out of your head and see if you sleep better. And then we'll know our intervention
There we
works.
go.
There you go.
You could use the checklist to quantify.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Cool. Amazing. Okay, cool. And then obviously with things like that, then we would make it a PDF document itself that you would then just access as a link to download and then print off yourself. I don't think I would do anything with like a forum to type in or add like automatic check boxes and stuff because I don't want any issues with privacy or personal information. But so if when I add that space, we'll probably do it as a PDF format then.
Sounds great.
Okay,
Tips how to
tips
keep
to
it
keep
organized.
organized on my calendar or phone too. But that's awesome input
Great
too.
idea. That's a great idea. Let me
Could
think
probably
about that.
develop some note-based app or like a link tree, something like that.
I like
Some
that.
way. I don't have the experience to develop an app, but yeah, like a link tree or making a specific like Google Doc thing that is only view only, and to view this checklist you would have to download it yourself, but that way you could have it as a device on your device.
You know what?
Okay, cool.
You're
Good call.
actually
We're on the same wavelength, I think.
you are reminding me that there is a group called Mito Action. It's for mitochondrial disorders, and they actually have a community app, a specific app that the
Oh.
community developed, and it's got links and it's got ways to share data, and
This might be
it's to
amazing to
bring
try and make.
yeah, and this may be something that that we can talk to the foundation leadership to see if
Yeah.
have a couple people try it out and see if something like this would be a helpful app that's a sort of one-stop shopping for everything. It's not a small ask, like it's a pretty big, it's a lift, but if it's a lift that is useful to the community, it's worth exploring. So let's think about that. So that might be a great, and there are a couple of other health apps. I'm trying to think. Bearable might be one of them. That was one of the ones I had shared before. That also has opportunities to like share links and stuff like that, or just store information. So let me dig in do some research and see if we can find something that might be helpful. So for some families that might be super helpful. For others, they might be like, oh my God, I can't put another app on my phone. Like I'm going to explode. So we just want to make sure that we're meeting
Right, and
everybody where they need to be.
multiple modalities, multiple forms of the same thing too. Like,
Exactly. Paper check off for those who like pencil, and will PDF check
yeah,
off for those
I
who
know
like
I'm
electronic.
so old fashioned. I love paper too. Like
Me
I
too.
have notebooks for everything, and
I do
I
too. I
still
do too.
write down stuff. I hate typing.
This is my calendar for the week. I'm like, I want paper. I want to look down and glance at it. I mean, I have it on my phone too, and I've got my alarms, but I like my paper too. So,
Well,
um,
thank you so much, everybody. Is there any last minute feedback from anyone else in the chat, or feel free to chime in? Just
yeah,
want to make sure everyone gets a word in.
yeah. Please speak up if there's anything, or drop it in the chat. And then also we're going to share our email addresses. So I'm going to go back to sharing here. So we have our email addresses here, and we'll drop them into the chat as well. You can also go, if you ever are trying to find us, you can go to the SCN2A website and go to the About Us and learn about the team members. And I know Jeff dropped his into the chat. I'm going to drop mine as well. But let's take a quick moment for question and answers, and then let's see if anybody's got anything here. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate your
Thanks,
feedback.
Carla.
So helpful. And I want to pause. I'm not one of those people who likes silence, as you can tell, I chat a lot. But I'm going to take an intentional pause for a moment to make sure that I'm not talking over anybody or missing the opportunity for people to share. And if folks don't have something to share, then I will. I have one other thing I can show you on the website before our meeting's over. Otherwise, we'll save this time for Q&A. I have to literally hold my hand over my mouth. I can't stand silence. So say something. Okay, fine. Well, then I'm going to pull up something.
I love that about you, Melody.
It's when we're as folks on the call know, FamilieSCN2A Foundation is one of the CZI grantees, and they have these beautiful meetings with lots of rare disease advocates from lots of different foundations, and they are very intentional with their silence. They ask a question and they pause for 30 to 60 seconds, and I'm like, somebody say something. Yeah. Oh. But I appreciate it because it does give you time. It gives people that moment to get their words out. So if folks don't have questions, so let me show you just a quick real life example about what we were talking about, why it's so important to be research ready. So I want to show you, like, for example, here, this is from our website. It's on the page is called a Research Roadmap and Pipeline. This is what it looks like from the top. I've got it really zoomed in. The Research Roadmap and Treatment Pipeline. And if you look down, this is what's happening. These are what's in development for potential treatments when you go down here. Morgan just did an update because we do have some that are now recruiting, so we have to upload the new update. But immediately you see right here, they're categorized by your child's genetic variant, right? This is a gain of function study. These are only available for gain of function. This is loss of function. This is mixed function. If one of the symptoms that you're trying to manage is seizures, this is where you would go in. If you're looking for autism, it's here. But specifically for the genetic variants, you need to know which ones are applicable for you. And if you don't know, you're not sure where to start. If you click here or go directly to it on the clinical trials and research opportunities, this is what's recruiting right now. These are the ones that are open. Those are the ones that are sort of in the pipeline, if you will. They're in development. This is what's actually recruiting right now. And when you scroll down here, you'll see, so this is our natural history study. Butterfly studies coming soon, clinical picture maker, and it's got the links for where to enroll. But when you go further down, sorry, here's the CTRS. This one's already completed, but there's results here if anybody wants to see. The Inchstone project is also completed. The results are here. But here are some of the things we talked about: Simon Searchlight, Citizen Health. And so knowing what opportunities there are can help you figure out which ones you're eligible to enroll in. Orca will be recruiting soon. Some people are already participating in the early phases, but if you go down here for our clinical trials and intervention studies, these are your actual like interventional studies. You need to know genetic variants. This is for gain of function. If you don't know if you're gain of function or loss of function, you're not going to know if you're eligible to even to participate. And you don't want to waste your time. This one here, again, gain of function. We have
And this one is currently recruiting in Brave 3 now.
fantastic.
We have to make.
We have to update that. Yes, they are now
Yeah.
enrolling. That's amazing. Here you can see we have them broken down under clinical trials. We have them broken down by gain of function, loss of function, and mixed function. I know it's frustrating right now that there aren't ones that are recruiting for loss of function or mixed function, but there may be soon. So keep checking back. And then for the clinical trials, like they'll know, like you have to have an SCN2A variant. Great. Some of them, it's just you have to have an epilepsy diagnosis. All of these have been curated to be relevant to some families, but not everybody with an SCN2A related disorder has, an epilepsy diagnosis that they're going to want that would make them eligible for the study. So that's why you really need to know what your child's variant is and what kind of function they are, so that you know which ones are worth your time and worth pursuing. So we're not just giving you a checklist of things to do. It's actually really important to know. So that's what we've got, and we've got 4 minutes to spare. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to pass this over to Morgan or Amanda or Jeff, somebody else to finish up the meeting. But it's been lovely chatting with all of you, and I thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I guess I will also add another kind of thing in the works. As Melody beautifully went through the information we have on the website, I'm also working on a spreadsheet that will organize all the available trials, actively recruiting, active, not yet recruiting, enrollment complete. That really lists out all the trials in a spreadsheet type forum. We had something like that on our older website, but since the update, this page essentially will be view only, but you can go and filter it by your child's variant to really see, is there actually something recruiting right now for the variant I'm interested in that could potentially be of benefit for my child? And then I'm going to bring that to my next appointment. So I'm working on that as well. We'll have more information tailored on enrollment, like if it's for pediatric or adult, what's the class of the drug, and again, all of this is not to endorse a specific trial at all. It's just to show you what is out there. We will provide the clinicaltrials.gov link and then the contact information for that institution or sponsor for you to reach out directly if you are interested in participating with your child or your family. So all that is in the works. We've got a lot coming. Thank you so much for all your feedback on the checklist. Thank you, Melody, Amanda, and Jeff for joining me today to present how to get research ready. It was a pleasure spending the evening with you all. And again, we're always here for questions. Please don't hesitate to email. I love talking to you. I love responding, and I'm happy to be a part of this community and ready to help.
Amazing. Jeff or Amanda, any parting words for our friends?
No, I just want to say I'm very impressed with these developments. This team has done a really fantastic job, and this is actually the first time I've seen it in its entirety, and I'm very impressed. And hopefully, it helps everybody get engaged, and because you can see from the pipeline that real progress has happened. It's unquestionable. In the
Amazing.
last 10 years, it's amazing, and that's because of the community's gotten engaged, because of the foundation and others that have supported the work along the way. So well done, team, and hopefully everybody gets engaged. Hopefully it helps.
Yeah, and a beautiful job walking through all of those the new steps of that website. And I think that sometimes when we go from one visual from the old website to a new website, sometimes it gets a little daunting exploring those new steps. And so having that expert lens to walk through those steps, I think was really helpful, especially for me. So thank you so much.
Amanda, much
Right.
appreciated. Well, any last thoughts? Please feel free to unmute or drop in the chat before we say goodnight. Well, thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Sleep well, record your sleep so we know how well you're sleeping.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks
Thank
you.
you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.